Hi, my name is Daniel Jacobs. I'm an instructional assistant professor here at the University of Houston.
And my name is Brittany Utting. I'm an assistant professor of architecture at Rice University. And this is our exhibition called MESO-COSM.
And together we lead a design and research practice called Home Office, which looks at the technical and material relationships between architecture and ecosystems.
So MESO-COSMs are these large-scale ecological experiments that occur throughout the world. So we've been really interested in looking at MESO-COSM infrastructures, not just as a space of scientific research, but also as a very sort of unique type of spatial practice that relates the environment to architecture. And so the meso, this idea of a medium world, all of a sudden opened up this idea that the MESO-COSM wasn't just a medium world, it was actually a worlding medium. It was a space of worlding. It was a space in which we could kind of reimagine and sort of reorient our relationship to a landscape, to a climate, to an environment. And we were just fascinated by the idea that it was not just an ecological or scientific endeavor, but it was something that was spatial, that was material, that was something that you could sort of immediately understand and enter. Yeah, and we were interested in how, in the context of Houston, which is a coastal prairie and wetland landscape, how could we use MESO-COSMs to understand the increasing conflict between human settlement and the landscapes that are critical to mitigating flood impacts in the Houston region. So what we made for the exhibition was a large-scale immersive prototype that was meant to be both teaching MESO-COSM and also a bit of a lounge for students to use while the gallery exhibition is up. We made it out of aluminum extrusions that are basically hand-bolted together to create this structural frame, and suspended within it is a lightweight Durascrim material that allows light to enter in the space to kind of create this sort of immersive and embodied space for students to use.
The infrastructure is designed so that many different enclosures can be placed within it. So this one keeps rain out but lets sun in, but it's a fabric kind of light enclosure that can be replaced with something more like insect netting that could let air flow through and water in. But also all of the frames around the perimeter can allow for solid panels to also be placed within it. So it's a really malleable structure that can be that can transform based on the experimental requirements that you have for the MESO-COSM array.
We were also interested in how can we reimagine a new sort of architectural expression for Houston's landscapes, for Houston's ecologies, in a city and ecoregion where the weather, the flooding, the kind of the heat really sort of changes the way that we live. And so one of the things that we learned from the MESO-COSM experiments were how their envelope systems, their tectonic systems were really meant to be open-ended. They are permeable to the environment, they allow weather to happen, they dissipate heat. And so we were interested in learning from the MESO-COSM structure as a series of layered environments, of gradients of temperature. And we wanted to understand how we could translate some of those spatial and environmental ideas into a series of architectural prototypes. We wanted the gallery to not just be a place showcasing architectural design, but also a useful space for the school. And so we designed it in a way that felt maybe open and welcoming for students to use. So there's a kind of an enormous green, like kind of rubberized cotton floor covering that kind of implies that it could be a messy space. It's a space under construction. It's a space that's contingent. We also, we got these sort of enormous dunnage pillows as kind of suggestions of ways of seating or lounging in the space to enjoy the film.
Yeah, we wanted something interactive that the students could touch and feel and play with, and also be a space to gather collectively. There's some chairs in the MESO-COSM and the pillows, but also as a kind of counterpoint, I think, to the architectural materiality around, right? The greenhouse, the MESO-COSM, they're often kind of metallic aesthetic, that we thought that the kind of inflatable pillow was very much in opposition, and so it created a good dialogue materially and in terms of having fun in the space.
Yeah, and we were excited to be thinking of this research not just as a space of architectural research or scientific research, but something that's really positioned within the environmental humanities, a place where we can think about issues of climate change and long-term environmental change not just through science or ecology and experimentation, but also through things like music, through poetry, through literature, through these kind of larger conversations that really bring a lot of voices, a lot of people into the conversation.
So one of the ambitions that we have for specifically the MESO-COSM prototype is to take it from within the enclosed and isolated space of the gallery as an exhibition and put it out in the world and loop in many other voices and constituents to try to figure out how to use it in an experimental capacity in the landscapes that we're talking about. So we want it to enter into the world and be used in that way. So that's the first major next step that we have in mind.